On our list of the 5 best devices that we saw at this year's IFA 2015 in Berlin, we take a look at one of the first devices that we got our hands on at the show, the Huawei Mate S. Now, the Mate S might be a bit of a refinement on the Mate 7, but it is not as large as the Mate 7 and brings all of the same power. It comes in with a 5.5-inch AMOLED display with 1080p resolution, is powered by a high silicon Kirin 935, and has 3 GB of RAM. However, the Mate S brings all of the great features that the Mate 7 had, which made it one of our favorite phones of the past year, and puts it in an even thinner and sleeker package. This is a pretty thin device considering just how large it is and how much it is able to do, and it sits really nicely in the hands with the metal construction that we have come to love from plenty of the Mate line. The 128GB flash memory model comes with a new feature, and that is Force Touch. Yes, Huawei is sort of beating Apple to the punch here with a Force Touch iteration that uses the pressure sensors underneath the screen in order to perform a number of tasks, not the least of which is actually weighing very small items. But functionality kind of has a lot of possibilities with something like Force Touch, in which you can just press down a little bit harder to make things happen on the phone. Now, couple the Force Touch, one of the new features of this phone, with all of the other great ones, such as the fingerprint reader on the back that can actually be used to navigate the device somewhat, and you have in the Mate S one of the best devices that we probably weren't really expecting to see or love as much as we did here at IFA 2015. And now we move into a tablet. Now, considering that Lenovo has created a lot of many different tablets, some of which having some quirky or somewhat gimmicky features, it's nice to see that in the Yoga Tablet 3 Pro, we now have the conglomeration of all of the best that the original Yoga line was able to bring. And that is, of course, the projector that can be made up to 70 inches large and is now placed in the area on the bottom that is housing the kickstand, on which you can stand the tablet in 2 different variations, so you can make it easier to use. For media consumption, this just might be the kind of tablet you want, especially when you consider its sound quality. 4 speakers made by Dolby 360 Sound provide some of the loudest sound we've ever heard from a tablet, not to mention being able to hear the left and right channels so well that sometimes, depending on the audio, you might hear the audio from behind you. With a great sound experience, a more than enough display experience, especially considering the projector, and the power to be able to go for a while, we give one of our awards to the Yoga Tablet 3 by Lenovo. Though they did not have a flagship smartphone to show us here at IFA 2015, LG did have a few products that they wanted us to see. One of them was the LG G Pad 2 10.1, bringing a larger screen to the LG G Pad family, and then there was the LG Watch Urbane Luxe, a 23-karat gold Cartier clasp designed version of the LG Watch Urbane that brought some real luxury in a lacquer case that really put luxury into the new smartwatch. But the device that we brought our award to for LG's line of products was for the Rolly keyboard. That's right, we gave LG an award for an accessory, which is a fold-out keyboard that kind of packs together into what you can pretty much call a Bluetooth stack. Really, this very sleek and very easy to maneuver device is a Bluetooth keyboard that also has some kickstands in the back for you to put up the LG G Pad 2 or any other tablets or even smartphones onto. And between those is a AAA battery slot, of which LG claims the Rolly will be able to use for up to 3 months. Now, slide out that keyboard and everything looks even better from there. These actually have a actual drop to them of 17 millimeters that gives the Rolly keyboard the true feel of a keyboard without having to have one of those cases for all-in-one tablets. This one can be used with basically any device with Bluetooth. Fold it up and roll it back out. The Rolly keyboard's just really fun to sort of toss around from time to time, and it feels like one of the better accessories that we can have for plenty of our Android-powered devices out there. But flagship smartphones were a story at IFA 2015, and they mostly came from Sony, who, after a few different naming conventions gone awry in the last year, finally came back with a true new flagship, and that is the Xperia Z5. Now, while the Z5 itself is one that we already liked and are happy to see because Sony puts out some pretty great devices, they also had the Z5 Compact, but the one that we gave our award to is the beginning of what could be a revolution in display technology technology, the Z5 Premium. Now, despite the Snapdragon 810 underneath, a new fingerprint sensor, and a reconstructed camera module on the back at 23 megapixels, what we're giving the award to is all of that coupled with a 4K display. Yes, this 4K display on the Z5 Premium brings a new level of display technology with 806 ppi in this particular screen. Now, we do believe that 4K, Quad HD, 1080p, all of these display technologies might prove a little bit lost on the general consumer, and we wholly understand that. But 4K on a smartphone is something that Sony can boast about starting, and if anything, it has started the conversation that plenty of other manufacturers in the next year are probably going to be speaking anyway. So we give the Z5 Premium, with its already great spec sheet, an award for starting the conversation in what could be the future of our display technology. Without the Galaxy Note 5, we did not think that Samsung was going to take our hearts away here at IFA 2015, but we were wrong because they unveiled the Gear S2. The update to last year's Bengal-constructed Gear S, this is now a round watch that takes on the visage of a real luxury watch in the case of the S2 Classic, and then a more futuristic-looking wearable in the original S2. A 1.2-inch Super AMOLED display with 360 by 360 resolution stands out still, despite being a little bit smaller than some of the much larger smartwatches out there. Super AMOLED technology will be leveraged quite well here, so you can get some pretty good battery life from it, but of course we will save that for our testing. But what we really love about this device is its new form of input. This rotating and wheelable bezel on here is actually an input for you to go in and out of elements the same way that you would by swiping on the touch screen. Smartwatches have been needing something like this, a new form of input, and even with two buttons on the side, it is that rotating bezel that really changes the game. In most cases, you may not even need to use the touchscreen, just to tap in the middle, that's it, in order to select where you are, in order to navigate around. And with Tizen at the operating system helm, you can be sure that Samsung will try to put any and all functionality and features inside of this watch that they possibly can, perhaps making it surpass that of even Android Wear. The Gear S2 is certainly one of the better smartwatches that we've seen because it tries to really think outside of the box, and in some ways it already feels like it succeeds because its input is just already that much easier and that much more fun to use, and it makes the smartwatch actually easily intuitive for the new smartwatch user. Connectivity like Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and NFC will keep it relevant as well. But really, what we love about the Gear S2 is that it thinks a little bit differently from the rest, and that's where we give Samsung our award for one of the best devices that we saw here at IFA 2015. We hope you enjoyed all the coverage by Android Authority here at IFA in Berlin, and we invite you to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, so you can see all of the reviews for the devices you saw in this particular video. If you have already subscribed, please continue to watch and drop likes on our videos, and head on over to AndroidAuthority.com for our forums, our posts, and our podcast, because we are your source for all things Android.